G'day everyone. Well, here in Melbourne, we've been locked down with stage 4 restrictions for the past week, and it's definitely taken some time for people to adjust to this new normality. Reports of panic buying have not been as pronounced as in March this year, but there is still a heightened sense of anxiety out there, with requests for multiple repeats of medications and asthma inhalers being made by some of the more vulnerable patients. Let's hope things settle down over the next few weeks, but with pharmacies one of the only businesses allowed to remain open during this time, we anticipate the pressure on pharmacists and their staff will grow as they deal with stressed and weary patients. In other parts of the country that have been able to open up, we've seen a fairly quick return to close to normal dispensary and front of shop spending. Cough, cold and flu categories still remain fairly muted, but there has been a rise in discretionary spending that hasn't been seen over the past few months of the pandemic. In terms of JobKeeper, and this has changed just a few days ago, the JobKeeper extension specifies that businesses must use their actual September quarter figures when assessing if they are eligible for JobKeeper. In order to remain in the JobKeeper program, you must demonstrate that you have experienced a 30% reduction in turnover in real terms across July, August and September compared to last year. Our belief is that this will lead to a number of pharmacies no longer qualifying for JobKeeper after the September 28 cut-off date, as the results over 3 months tend to even out when last time around we only had to qualify for 1 month. For those that do remain on JobKeeper, the rates will fall to $1,200 per fortnight for those employed for 20 or more hours per week, and $750 per fortnight for those working less than 20 hours per week. As always, I'm happy to chat with anyone about JobKeeper and how it impacts on them. Now for the data wrap. As I mentioned before, we're definitely in a two-phase economy when it comes to the overall pharmacy picture. States that are opening up from COVID lockdowns are seeing some return to normal, whereas in Victoria, where lockdowns are strict and have just gotten stricter, pharmacies are seeing some measure of a sugar hit as patients stock up in preparation for being unable to leave their home. Initial reports are that it is not near the level of that seen in March this year when everything went nuts, but there is a little more composure this time around, and pharmacies are able to manage their stock levels to meet demand. Let's hope we don't see the big drop-off like we saw in April this year. With telehealth arrangements for GPs in place to the end of September nationally, our medical centre pharmacies are still suffering a reduced turnover compared to last year. July would often be a busy time of year for these pharmacies, but people are staying away from clinics and the convenience of a pharmacy next door to the doctors is no longer a factor. Turnover is only down 2% compared to last month, but it is down 22% compared to July last year. As I've mentioned in nearly every video update so far this year, rural pharmacies have been the most resilient in the face of the pandemic. Turnover is steady when compared to last month and only slightly down by 4% when compared to the same month last year. It will be interesting to keep an eye on Victorian rural pharmacies as they only entered stage 3 restrictions again at the start of this month. But judging from last lockdown, we're hopeful that things will remain fairly stable. Shopping strip pharmacies in Victoria are again seeing an increase in foot traffic as people remain closer to home. This type of pharmacy in other states are also seeing customer levels return to similar pre-pandemic levels. In Victoria, they've seen an increase of 8% compared to June, but are still around 12% down on July last year. Stage 4 restrictions only came into force in August, so we will monitor these numbers and see how they compare in the data wrap next month. Elsewhere across the country for shopping strip sites, turnover is up 11% and is only down around 3% compared to July 2019. Shopping centre pharmacies across Australia, including Victoria, were seeing a great rebound in July, and while they weren't back to pre-pandemic levels, they were certainly on the right trajectory. These numbers reflect that. though the harsher lockdowns in place in Victoria now, we expect this to knock out most of the gains that received in the August data. I'll report these separately in next month's video. Numbers were up 9% on June and were still down around 11% on July last year. Thank you all. I'd also like to thank you for all your kind comments about these videos. I'm glad that so many of you find them useful. I hope to see you on the other side of the lockdown, but until then, see you later.